everybody, I'm Vikki Carr. I sing, but I do not play the piano like Paderewski. Believe it or not, that's who's playing this piano right now. This is a 1923 performance by the immortal Ignace Jan Paderewski, interpreting Chopin's Polonaise, just as if he were here today, playing this golden piano with invisible hands. There is no intermediary, such as a phonograph. You're seeing and hearing this piano recreate Paderewski's performance of half a century ago, with none of the nuances lost or changed. But you know, this reproducing piano is just one of the inventions you'll hear today, all played by invisible hands of fine musicians. Here we are amidst the world's greatest collection of automatic musical instruments in fully restored, perfect working condition, in the Merle Norman Tower of Beauty at San Silmar, California. Imagine, if you can, the days before television, movies, radio, and stereos. Humans have always needed music and have played it themselves when they could. Those with enough money hired live musicians to play for them. And many people turned to the forerunner of today's phonograph, the automatic musical instrument. Middle-class parents saved for years to buy a player piano so their families could enjoy good music. And emperors and queens and multimillionaires bought full reproducing pianos like this one, or miraculous orchestrations, which I'll show you later. Let's see how these instruments worked. Paderewski signed each piano roll after he cut it. Then, on this full expression piano, it reproduces not only all the notes he played, but also all the complex expressions of tempo, phrasing, and dynamics that make each musician's performance unique. This brass track has 80 holes representing individual piano keys. If a perforation in the piano roll corresponds to a hole in this bar, it will play that piano key. When these little holes appear on the piano roll, certain notes on the piano will play louder than others. I'm sure you're wondering how a tiny perforation on a paper roll can move these piano keys with the force of Paderewski's powerful hands. The answer is called pneumatics. It's the same principle that plays nearly all automatic instruments. Pneumatics means using the action of air pressure or vacuum to make something move. You see these bellows? When a hole on the paper roll is open, a little bit of air moves down through the tube to a valve, which opens up a port and applies vacuum suction to a pneumatic bellows. Each bellows applies the force needed to push a certain key or pedal. Want to see what makes the roll move to create this pneumatic action? The roll is driven by this little electric motor. Thank you, Mr. Paderewski. And now, I promised you orchestrations. An orchestrion is like an automatic orchestra. This Hupfeld Excelsior is equal to an 18-piece orchestra. It could play anything from a symphony to a popular song. Notice the exquisite craftsmanship. Every item in the Merle Norman collection was chosen for visual beauty as well as musical quality. This orchestrion took 3 years to make and was completed in 1926. A few years later, production of important orchestrions ended completely. And today, most Americans have never even heard of them. You can choose from 10 different rolls at a time, just like a jukebox. In fact, when Americans stopped making orchestrions, the biggest companies switched to jukeboxes. These are real accordions, which could be taken out and played by hand. This orchestrion uses 20 of those black pipes to represent the sound of one oboe. Each pipe plays a different oboe note. And there are several hundred pipes here. Watch this. My hand is covering up this little hole that makes the drum beat. Now, I pull my hand away from this hole and let air move through to the pneumatic bellows. See? Kind of sounds like the natives are coming, aren't it? They're here. This orchestrion played for 40 years in a restaurant in Holland, and boy, did it have fun. People came from all over Europe to see and hear it. Couples used to hold hands to its music or dance. But now we're going to try something different. I don't think it's ever been done in the movies before. A singer for the first time is going to sing with an orchestrion. Music, Mr. Hupfeld, please. When it's springtime in the Rockies, I'm coming back to you. Little sweetheart of the mountains, with your bonny eyes of blue. Once again I'll say I love you, while the birds sing all the day. When it's springtime in the Rockies, far away. Fantastic. Did you ever think the Rockies could swing like that? You know, I haven't enjoyed such a fascinating partner since I danced at the White House. The first orchestrion was invented in Sweden in 1789, the year our American Constitution was born. Beethoven, he composed music especially for an orchestrion, and the crowned heads of Europe all hurried to buy one. This is why. These music rolls were like early computer programs. In fact, the first big American computer company took over an orchestrion factory and used its expert workers to make computer logic systems. Look at these huge bellows that pump air, and they create a vacuum for this entire orchestrion. While these orchestrions and pianos enjoyed their heyday, the phonograph was still a squeaky, squawky box. Here's a very early Columbia gramophone. In case you can't understand the voice on the cylinder, he's singing, "Anyone's welcome at my house. Come after breakfast, bring your lunch, and leave before supper." And now, let's look at some of the earliest automatic music makers. Oh, here is a rare musical watch from France made before 1800. And charming little music boxes like this were the playthings of royalty. In ancient times, automatic pipe organs were programmed to play simple tunes by placing pins in a pattern on a revolving barrel. Then came the music carillons in churches, which used the same principle to play church bells. Protruding prongs on a revolving cylinder were the heart of this 1880 music box. These pins plucked the teeth of two identical combs for twice as much sound as you'd get from one comb. I wondered why a cosmetic company like Merle Norman displays music instead of makeup. And they explained that these instruments symbolize dedication to excellence and beauty and craftsmanship. And a company should strive for those goals too. And now let's return to a really special piano. It was presented to Emperor Franz Joseph, ruler of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, on the 50th anniversary of his reign. Apart from its beauty, it's just an ordinary piano, but you can see it's being played in an extraordinary way. This automatic player, built especially for the Franz Joseph piano, is called a Vorsitzer. In German, that means something that is set in front. When this Vorsitzer is set in exactly the right position, it plays the keys with felt-covered fingers. Guess whose hands are guiding this Vorsitzer? The great Norwegian composer Edvard Grieg, playing his own album blot, Opus 28. Now, here's an orchestrion made in 1921 right here in America. This wonder light of colorful gems would revolve as the music played, and the automatic roll changer could play 30 songs without repeating itself. So would you like us to perform another song? We're so glad you asked. Okay? Fascinating rhythm, you got me on the go. Fascinating rhythm, I'm all a quiver. What a mess you're making, the neighbors want to know why I'm always shaking just like a flivver. Each morning I get up with the sun, start a-hopping, never stopping, to find at night no work has been done. I know it didn't matter, but now you're going wrong. When you start to patter, I'm so unhappy. Won't you take a day off, decide to run along somewhere far away off and make it snappy? Oh, how I long to be the one I used to be. Fascinating rhythm, oh, won't you stop picking on me? Thank you, thank you. And now let's look at some other instruments that entertained our grandparents. Now let me show you what a nickel could really get you in the good old days. This self-playing violin has its own piano accompaniment. People used to dance to these violins in restaurants and in private homes. You see, that's a real violin. Each string is stopped at the correct interval by electromagnetically controlled fingers. The bowing action of a human artist is duplicated by these 4 rosin celluloid discs that revolve and play 1 to 4 strings at a time. Would you believe? Aha! Now here's an automatic banjo. These 4 banjo strings are plucked by tiny little fingers. Little leather-covered buttons stop the strings along the fret at the correct spot. This paper roll calls the tune. These banjos, oh, they were popular around the turn of this century, but they're very rare today. In case you want to know more about the Merle Norman Tower of Beauty, it's quite new, and it's located near Los Angeles. Group tours can be arranged by appointment. This Grand Salon displays some of the world's loveliest classic automobiles, all in restored driving condition. Each car here is able to drive out for a spin at any time. Another example of functional fine art created in a spirit of excellence and elegance. This Avion Voisin touring car once belonged to Rudolph Valentino. Now back to the Golden Steinway and the invisible hands of Paderewski. I hope you've enjoyed this visit to a romantic past, when skilled craftsmen joined with talented musicians to generate beauty for eye and ear. They devoted their art to the vision of the poet who proclaimed, "Music, the greatest good that mortals know, and all of heaven we have below."